Hello and welcome to another episode of Millennial Media. On this show, we talk to St. Charles County school students and their professors about some of the projects they're working on in school. Today, I have with me some students and professors from Holt High School. I'm your host, Romero Starks, and today we have with us Kaia as well as Cassidy. How are you all doing today?
Good, thanks.
Good. So first and foremost, tell me a little bit about yourself. What are some of your interests?
Well, I am really interested in animation. I do some animation on the side, and I'm also really interested in going into the medical field.
Okay. Kaia?
I'm kind of all over the place. Like, if you can think of it, I've probably at least tried my hand at it. I'm really involved in the Winsville Police Explorer program,
Okay.
but I'm also like a theater kid, and you can find me on the football field because I'm in the marching band.
Oh.
So I'm pretty spread out.
So you guys are just the ladies with multiple hats, I see.
Yes.
So animation. Tell me a little bit about animation.
Well, animation, it's a really time-consuming type of thing, but I've learned a lot about it on the internet, and I've seen a lot of videos on it. And the things I do are kind of less animation and more keyframes almost. So you draw out the keyframe, and then you edit it so that it kind of looks like animation.
Right.
So it's less time-consuming, but it looks like just as good.
Right. So what are some of the things you've been able to do with animation?
I did enter into a competition. It's called the Film Festival, and I won first place in the category.
Wow.
So that was kind of cool. So that's kind of what I do.
Very modest about that answer. Just, I won first place. So what was the animation that you did that got you that award? Tell me about it.
It was called The Color of Music. It was kind of about this girl who used music to kind of deal with what happens in her life and sort of learns how to deal with it in a way that's healthy. So
Gotcha.
that's kind of what it was.
Interesting. Kaia, of course, I didn't forget about you, but with you doing so many things, how have you found the perfect balance, being able to juggle all of those things while also have to worry about academic things?
Lots of coffee.
So
And
young. Coffee.
coffee. Lots of coffee. And lots of rides going from here to there. And I've gotten really good at changing in the car.
That's a talent.
Yeah.
It's a talent to master.
Yep.
So what are some of the things, we talked about the fact that you're in theater, what are some of the things you're working on right now?
Right now we're preparing for our fall musical. It's going to be Beauty and the Beast this year. We're all really excited because it's like an actual show that people understand and
Right.
not something from the 60s or Godspell, which, no offense, those were great shows, but
Right.
everybody was confused. But everybody knows Beauty and the Beast is. Everybody's
It's a classic.
excited.
Everybody knows about it. Okay, so tell me a little bit about the work that's going into that right now.
So I'm in both the tech department and I'm an ensemble actor in the show this year. So I've gotten a really good look at both parts of the production. Right now we're getting really intense on our sets. We're actually kind of almost halfway through.
Okay.
There's been lots of music, dancing and music rehearsals. You can tell who's in the play because they've got headphones in and they're singing Beauty and the Beast songs in the hallway.
Gotcha.
It's quite funny. And yeah, it's always like, hey, I know you. Hey.
You must be in
Yeah, you're
Beauty
in
and the
guest
Beast.
with me. Hey, yeah, you're my dancing
got
partner.
you. Okay. So when is it supposed to happen?
It's, if I recall correctly, so don't hold me to, I believe it is November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd at the C.H. Jones Auditorium.
Okay. Interesting. So what kind of work goes into that with you being on both sides of it, having a part in it and kind of being behind the scenes? How do you balance that?
So we have our rehearsals go from right after school to about 4:30, so that's like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And we go, when I'm not on stage dancing or me doing music, I will be behind the mid-stage curtain or in the theater room helping with costumes or painting backstage. So I've always got paint on me in some way, shape, or form. It's just,
I see.
yeah, it's bonded to me at this point.
So in addition to the things you're personally into right now, obviously broadcast is a part of these things.
Yes.
So what are you doing with the broadcast, or what have you done in the past with it?
Well, right now we are doing a newscast in our school. So right now we're gathering footage of things like the homecoming and other things that are going on, and we're going to be putting it together into like a newscast that we can show during school.
Okay. So how often do you do your school newscasts?
It kind of depends.
Of last year, their routine was once a week-ish.
Okay.
And I think we're going to keep up with that same kind of schedule this year.
So how difficult is that? Because this is fairly new, right? This is the second year?
Yeah, it started last year. Last year was its inaugural year.
So how difficult is that to try to really get it up and running since it's still so fresh as far as a concept?
I mean, we've got a great team. There's 8 of us in the class, so it's a lot smaller than your typical class size at high school. And we've all got, I really appreciate our team. I think we've all got really great creative minds, and we all work well together.
Okay. Cassidy and Kaia, thank you for joining me. It was nice talking to you. When we come back, I have 2 more students, and we're going to talk to them a little bit about their experience with the broadcast class, as well as some of the things they're into outside of it.
Titans go! When the Teen Titans go to the movies, they know the best way to travel is safely. Road trip! You know it's super. To keep your child safe, be sure to use the right car seat for their age and size.
Exactly.
Hollywood, here we come! The Atom has arrived!
Have a seat, my dude.
For more information on finding the right seat, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Impressive!
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where did cats go on vacation? New York.
Welcome back to Millennial Media. I am now being joined by Hunter and Paige. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
So first of all, just like your classmates, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm a senior at Holt High School. I am the editor-in-chief of my school magazine. I participate in the marching band and the cheerleading squad.
Well, you got a lot going on. Hunter, what about yourself?
I'm a senior at Holt High School. I run cross country and track, and I'm hoping to attend Culinary Institute of America.
Whoa. So you guys are all 4 of you, into a billion different things, making the most of your high school years. That I genuinely applaud you for. So Paige, tell me about your responsibilities as editor-in-chief with the magazine.
So I have to set up kind of our spread that we're doing, and out of all the articles and pages that are set up by my fellow students, I have to pick which ones will actually be printed in the magazine. I really help a lot of my fellow staff members design their pages and figure out what kind of stories they want to chase and how they want to go about getting our magazine to be the best that it can be.
Gotcha. So having to handle that, as well as marching band and cheerleading, which I know those two overlap at some point, how do you balance all these things?
I really am not sure. I just know that I have a blast doing it all and that I'm never bored in school or outside of school. I always have somewhere to be and somewhere to be having a good time and making good high school memories.
Gotcha. Hunter, the man on the run. Cross country and track, so you're quite the athlete, because that stuff takes plenty of endurance. So what made you interested in broadcast as well as doing those things?
Cross country and track, honestly, I joined it because I couldn't get cut off the team.
Smart play.
Broadcast, it was a new class. I was like, oh, why not try it out? It's going to be the first for everyone else, so I'm not going to feel like I don't know what's going on.
Right. Can't be a rookie if everybody's a rookie, right?
Yeah.
So, and with this being your senior year, and this is the second year of broadcasting, so you're a returning student.
Yes.
Got you. So how have you seen the growth coming from a startup to something that's kind of gaining traction now and moving along?
Last year, it was kind of us just thinking what might be good, but now we know from people who are in the class that have actually watched the episodes last year what works, what doesn't, so we're getting ideas from the eyes of the viewers, not the eyes of the people that worked on it.
So Paige, is this your first year in the class then?
Yeah.
So you missed out on the inaugural part of it.
I couldn't fit it into my schedule last year.
Gotcha. So now having somebody like Hunter in that class that's kind of been through it, is he somebody that a lot of the classmates kind of look to like, hey, well, Hunter knows because this isn't his first go-round?
Yeah, it's really helpful when we kind of hit a stall in our production and we kind of don't know where to go from there. It's really helpful to have Hunter there because we know that he's done it before and that he can help us get over those small hurdles that the rest of us really haven't had to deal with before.
Gotcha. How does that feel to be kind of not even necessarily held responsible, but know that you're kind of like an example or a voice that helps out when needed?
Feels good. I'm excited to see where the show goes after I leave.
Gotcha. That's always the most interesting part. I did high school news. I graduated, and I was like, man, I wonder how this is going to go after this. So when are you looking at getting the next broadcast up? Do you have a timeline as far as that's concerned?
Sometime the end of next week, the beginning of the one after that. Our homecoming is in about a week, and
Okay.
we're hoping to do a special feature episode on our school's homecoming and all the events that surround the dance, like our powder puff game and our parade and the actual dance itself.
Gotcha. So you'll have to get footage for all of these things and find a way to compile them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got you. So how have some of the ones in the past gone? Talk a little bit about some of the ones you've done before.
We all kind of just assign jobs to people. Hey, could you get video here? Could you write about here? And then write about how you would actually speak, not how you want to write.
Right.
And then we would compile it into one video. We would have assigned anchors, and then we would read it off, and then we would have deadlines so that we could make sure stuff gets done. Give a little bit of time for those unforeseen incidents that just pop up
Right.
always.
Things always happen, especially with broadcast. Something always will somehow manage to go wrong at the last minute, so you got to be ready for that. So Paige, with you doing things in the magazine, does that kind of make it hard for you to write for news, because they're different? Because the way you write for a magazine or a newspaper, there's a certain way you communicate the message, whereas news, it's more how you would speak. You wouldn't write it, the same way. So how is that adjustment for you?
It's very difficult for me because I've been a part of our magazine staff since my freshman year, and it's been very drilled into my mind, that sort of writing and preparing for that kind of news and media. So really having to switch my mind during 1 hour and then switch it back for another class can be difficult, and I know that my teachers have joked around with me before about how I will just sit there in class in broadcasting and just groan because I can't it's difficult for me to switch my brain to that.
Got you. Well, thank you all for coming and talking to me as well. I wish you the best as you get these broadcasts going, and I look forward to maybe seeing them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So when we come back, we've got teachers as well, and we're going to talk to them about some of the things that go into the teaching element of broadcasting.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to Millennial Media. I am joined now at the desk by a teacher, Miss Sydney Swanson. Miss Swanson, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm well. So you are a teacher at Holt now with the broadcasts.
Yes.
And this is what year for you at Holt?
My fourth year.
Your fourth year. So some of these students have grown with you then.
Yes. Some of the seniors I had as a freshman.
Wow, that's nice. So before Holt, where were you teaching?
In Florida since 1999.
Oh, wow. So you've been a teacher for quite some time then. So what were some of the things you were teaching down in Florida?
English, reading. I did the broadcast studio at a middle school, a journalism class, a creative writing class. I did drama, mostly English though.
So you've got writing skills galore then, I
Yes.
assume. Great. So tell me a little bit about the broadcast then in Florida and how that maybe helps or translates now to doing it at Holt.
Well, the broadcast program I did at the middle school in Florida all the kids were really tech savvy and knew exactly what was going because it was already a program established. And so I was more of the journalist side of it, the journalistic side, helping them with the writing portion, and they ran all the tech stuff, and I didn't have to do a whole lot of that. Just make sure everything they did was appropriate and kind of help them put it together. But it has helped a lot, just knowing what, like, I think it's helped the most knowing that I don't have to step in a whole lot. It should be student run because they can do it. If middle school can do it, high school can do it.
Right. So with that being, like you said, in Florida, this is already a thing that was established.
Right.
With Holt, this is ground up. You're working on it. So what have been some of the challenges, you would say, in trying to get that started and get it moving?
I think the biggest challenge is getting it off the ground to where everybody's excited to watch the show and people are talking about it. It's gotten better. We do have an online news station where we put our episodes as well, so people can look back at it. I even had a teacher today come and say, "Do you have your old episodes that we could watch?" And I said, "Yeah, you don't know they're here on Holt Tribe." And she was so excited. So once word gets out more and people are excited about it, I think that's the biggest thing. Because before that, we had just announcements and people would make videos. Random people would put videos for our AI, which is academic intervention, and people would be like, "Oh, I don't want to watch." And now it's different. Our show is like, "Oh, cool."
Right. Oh, the broadcast.
Yeah, broadcast.
Right.
Yeah.
So really just getting the word out.
Right.
then.
Right.
Got you. So in addition to those challenges, what was it like having to be part of the process, getting this thing up and running? Because as you mentioned previously, it was already kind of there and you just worked your way into it and got it moving. Super
exciting. And luckily I have Miss Mills with the tech side. I'm the journalist side and she's the tech side, so that really helps a lot. I couldn't have done it, run the program with Premiere Pro and all of that.
Right.
I'm not that tech savvy at all. So luckily I have her, and I think it works really well. I think we're a good dynamic duo.
Right. So one of the things I believe it was Kaia mentioned, you guys are doing about once a month now? Is that the goal?
Once a week.
Once a week? Once a week.
Yeah, our goal is like once a week.
Okay. So is that something that you hope to long-term kind of stick to, or do you eventually want to get them maybe daily?
We talk about it, and I think our goal right now is we don't want to overwhelm the teachers and have it daily until they give us a slot, like an extra 3 minutes in first period where we can do our show. If we get that, we would probably work on daily. I did it daily with the middle school level, and they did a daily show every single day, and it was 3 minutes or less. So I know it's possible, but we don't want it to also be. I think when it's daily, it's like, oh, here it is. When it's weekly, it's there's a little more excitement for it.
Interesting. Yeah, because when I was in high school, they were daily. It was like a back-to-back class block. So the first class was kind of preparing. Second class, we're doing it over the PA and the televisions throughout the school. So what are some of, I guess, the most gratifying parts about seeing this get moving and seeing you guys be able to crank these out?
Just seeing the kids work together and seeing what they can produce and their ideas and seeing it come to fruition is like, oh, look what they did, and it's so exciting. You just get real proud of the students.
And so you mentioned earlier as well, with this being your fourth year, second year of broadcast, some of these kids you've had throughout your other classes since you've been there. So what's it like as a teacher being able to get to see these kids as they grow and develop these skills and move through?
It's wonderful to watch them grow. Like last year was my first year that I felt like some of the kids that were seniors, it was like, oh, they're leaving. What am I going to do without them?
Right.
But everybody else steps in and does great things. So it's really rewarding.
Understood. So with having Hunter in that class, and with this being Hunter's second year, how much of a help would you say he is as a teacher? I know Paige said as a student it's nice having him. As a teacher, what would you say as far as his helpfulness, being that he's done this already, so he has more experience and he can be more helpful to the other kids?
Right. He's a good person to go to when they're stuck with brand new things and they don't know how to do it. I think he's building more self-esteem with being a leader in that role, which is good for him, really good for him.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Ms. Swanson, I appreciate you talking with me. That was great. So when we come back, we have just one more teacher, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the tech side, where that's her area of expertise.
Thanks for helping us. No problem. You strawberry? You're welcome. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from invisible or silent. If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it, or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
Last but not least, we are being joined by Mrs. Allison Mills. Ms. Mills, how are you?
Well, thank you.
Great. So how many years have you been at Holt?
This will be year 5 for me.
Year 5. So you've got Ms. Swanson just by a little bit.
Oh, years at Holt, but not
years
teaching
at Holt,
overall,
right.
yeah.
So how much have you seen, I guess, with you being along the way with her, how much have you seen from your perspective this broadcasting grow?
Well, it's been quite a journey, and it's been a fun one. So even before the class began last year, the curriculum development and the writing and the research that we were able to do with the other high schools, and just being able to observe other programs and seeing how we wanted it to develop in Wentzville, that's been a pretty unique experience to see how it's developed from inception, literally inception, to now we're going into year 2.
Right. And I also wanted to ask you, since this is only your 5th year at Holt, before Holt, what were you doing and where were you?
So I actually came from the business profession.
Okay.
So I wasn't in teaching prior to coming to Holt to teach. So my background is in business, it's in management, I've done a little finance, but that was really my world, and where I have my degrees in. As a matter of fact, from Lindenwood, I have an MBA. So that's my experience coming in. So that's the background that I have, and bringing that element in how I teach in the business and the technology classes. It really helps because of real world experience and being able to relate the material to the students in that manner. It really it makes it easy to relate with the students with that information.
I bet. And that is interesting that most teachers, you just assume they started teaching somewhere else and move along. So it's interesting to see that that was kind of a total switch, what you had been doing. So I want you to tell me a little bit about your technical expertise, because Ms. Swanson mentioned she's creative writing and the journalism and those type of things, and you bring the technical side of things. So tell me about that.
I like to say I facilitate the technical side. So I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm an expert, but I've done some projects on the side, freelance. I've done things personally with that creative touch, and I'm willing to go and learn. And I have had the opportunity to do a little bit of training with the technical piece of it. We're very, very fortunate as a district that we have access to things like Adobe Suite. So in fact, we just got upgraded to Creative Cloud 2018 this year. So it's very exciting. So students can actually use the software that's industry standard. So it's that kind of experience that I have outside of the classroom, being able to say, hey, no guys, this is what is being used currently. That is very helpful.
Right. So with this being year 2, and we're just at the start, because school didn't start that long ago, really. What are some of your aspirations for this semester? Things that you're hoping you can see the broadcast accomplish, or even the students in the class, things that they can personally accomplish?
I'm very excited about how we are able to set up this year, because we have a year under our belt, and being able to help the students and facilitate the process of getting out there and developing an episode. Everyone comes in with their own perspective and idea of how things should go, but it's helpful for us to have an experience and say, hey, let's direct it in this way so that we can jump off the ground running and really be able to produce quality pieces very soon and very quickly.
Right. And with you being not the expert as far as the technical things are concerned, but the facilitator, are there some things that you'd like to be able to incorporate moving on as you kind of get your feet under yourself, because you got to learn to walk before you can run, so you don't want to do too many things at once. But are there some things that you're hoping to maybe incorporate into broadcast as you guys move along?
Sure, absolutely. We've had opportunity already to incorporate a little bit more specific training to the software right out the gate, where we were just kind of feeling our way to see what students already knew how to do. But we were already incorporating just training modules that are available for everyone to learn how to manage the pieces, the equipment, the files, the video, and that appreciation for everyone will, I know that will help us be able to get off the ground much faster.
Right. With you being a teacher, this is something I'm curious about. My mother's a teacher, an elementary school teacher. So one thing I want to know from you, this being your 5th year, so I'm sure there have been students that you also had that you've been with them, almost every step along the way. So what does that feel like? How gratifying is that to kind of see people as they progress through school? That's something I always love to hear from teachers.
Sure, I think that's the essence of why every teacher becomes a teacher, being able to connect with students and help them grow and facilitate that process. And there's nothing like when a student turns and looks and has that aha moment, or I never thought this is something that I could do. I'm interested in pursuing this because I had the exposure in your class, or something you talked to me about is something I never knew was an option. With high school, that definitely, nothing surpasses that feeling. And again, I think that's why educators do what they do.
Right. Well, I appreciate you joining me, Mrs.
Thank
Mills.
you.
It was a pleasure to have you again.
Likewise.
So on behalf of all of my guests from Holt, thank you for watching. We appreciate them coming as well. If you'd like to check out some of the things that they're working on with the broadcast, you can see it at holttribe.com. I'm Romero Starks, and thank you for watching Millennial Media.